Hello, everyone. Welcome to ISEAL's 2026 Global Sustainability Symposium. We're really honored to be joined today by the Deputy Minister of Food and Agriculture. He will be joining us just a little bit later this morning, and by Ms. Janine Waltz, Deputy Head of Mission and Head of Cooperation at the Swiss Embassy in Ghana, who I've just had the pleasure of having a chat with. So I look forward to your contribution today. And thank you all for joining us. We've already had quite a lot of conversations going this morning, so I'm sure that we'll have a busy day of conversations going forward later today. So ISEAL has worked for 2 decades with voluntary sustainability schemes, supporting them to be more effective and impactful. And so Fred mentioned earlier, sometimes in order to be more effective, we have to talk about the challenges. And so we spend a lot of time talking about both challenges and how we address those challenges to get better. We started off as a collective of 6 organizations in 2002. And today we are a group of nearly 50 organizations working across a wide range of sectors on sustainability. We support our members in making their standards and their systems stronger, so they can deepen impact and tackle difficult sustainability challenges with transparency and credibility. We're also known as a global thought leader in defining credible practice for sustainability systems and in supporting governments and businesses to recognize and use credible schemes. Our first symposium was in 2018 in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and since then, the symposium has been a place where we really discuss the issues and opportunities around the future of sustainability action. Through this event, we bring together sustainability systems, their adopters, and other supply chain actors for open discussions about these key trends. We share challenges, we discuss solutions, and we really together can shape the dialogue in the field. So Fred mentioned that here we are for the first time in Accra, in Ghana. We're really excited. We've done our symposium in everywhere from Sao Paulo, as I mentioned, Colombia, Indonesia. This is our first time in Africa, so we're really excited to be here today. And Ghana, why Ghana? I have been asked. We see that as a major actor in sectors such as cocoa and forestry, Ghana is taking a lead in sustainable agriculture and forestry initiatives. The Ghana Cocoa Forest Red Plus is the world's first initiative globally targeting deforestation from a single commodity supply chain. Ghana was recently recognized under the EU's FLECT process to issue licenses for verified legally compliant timber products, the 2nd country globally. And the COCOBOD's cocoa management system will take an approach that brings data collection, traceability, payment systems, and farmer insights together across the sector. So this is a really strong setting and base for the dialogue we're going to have today. And we're certain that we will gain insights that will be relevant both here in Ghana, but far beyond as well. Which is why it's so important that we have such a range of stakeholders in the room today. We have representatives of producers, companies, policymakers, national and international sustainability standards and certifications, NGOs, multilateral agencies, and academia. All bringing examples from Ghana, from the region, and beyond. So we've got examples that we'll be sharing with you today from cocoa, palm oil, forestry, aquaculture, coffee, cotton, and more. A real wide range of sectors that we can learn from each other. So I'm excited for a rich and fruitful dialogue that puts producers' perspectives at the heart of today's conversations around what's needed to drive sustainability and resilience in supply chain, our theme for today. So I don't need to stress why, with this audience, really these days with almost any audience, why resilience is so important in the current volatility that we're facing in the world. Climate impacts, biodiversity loss, market changes, shifting geoeconomic pressures. All of these things are exposing how vulnerable global supply chains have become. And particularly in the first mile, where producers face the greatest social, economic, and environmental pressures. At the same time, regulatory expectations, investor scrutiny, and transparency demands are intensifying. They're pushing companies beyond cost efficiency towards stronger supply security. So today we'll explore why resilience is not only about responding to disruption, but also about creating the conditions that enable producers to adapt, invest, and sustain production over the long term. First mile visibility is becoming central to understanding sourcing risks, with better data, insight, and accountability needed to identify emerging challenges earlier and respond more effectively. In a moment, I'll say a little bit more about an event we had yesterday where we learned a lot more about the cocoa sector's traceability efforts here in Ghana, and particularly looking at that first mile traceability, which was really interesting, I think, for all of us. So resilience cannot rest solely with producers and smallholders. Current approaches often place responsibility on those least able to absorb the shocks. So we need stronger partnerships. We need fairer risk sharing and more coordinated investment across supply chains. The conversations today will consider these concerns and explore how sustainability schemes, policy alignment, and collaborative action can move supply chains beyond fragmented responses towards more proactive and system-level resilience strategies. At ISEAL, we believe that voluntary sustainability standards and certification schemes will play an important part of the transition to sustainable, resilient future. For more than 30 years, voluntary standards have helped define, promote, and reward good practice across supply chains. And we believe to have positive impacts, sustainability standards must be credible. ISEAL has played a role for the last 20 years in defining what credibility looks like for sustainability systems and in building consensus around the world on what that looks like. Our credibility tools, ISEAL's credibility principles, and the ISEAL Code of Good Practice for Sustainability Systems have been leading these efforts, along with other guidance on topics such as benchmarking systems, chain of custody models, and sustainability claims. These tools are also used to develop national standards, guide company action, and help policymakers define effective and holistic sustainability policies by providing clear definitions and criteria for credible sustainability practices. So as I mentioned yesterday, we had a kickoff workshop here in this hotel for a new effort that we're working on, supported by the UK government, on strengthening national standards and systems to support forest governance, looking at timber and cocoa in Ghana and timber and oil palm in Indonesia. So much of our work at ISEAL is about sharing learning. It's about listening and providing opportunities to talk to each other across sectors, across countries. And yesterday, I think we all took away a lot of learning from the dialogue that we had on timber and cocoa here in Ghana. So why do we believe that credible sustainability standards are so important for resilient supply chains? Voluntary standards and certification schemes have this long experience of proven on-the-ground experience working with complex global supply chains. They work to boost market access and trade, support climate and nature goals, benefit biodiversity, and contribute to human rights protections and decent work. Experience shows that they have the capacity to support producer resilience. For example, in Ghana, cocoa certification has strengthened climate-smart farming practices and increased crop yields and crop incomes through improvements to productivity. In Ghana's pineapple sector, certification has been linked to higher hourly wages and greater job satisfaction among plantation workers. These outcomes are supported by improved employment conditions, including more stable contracts, training opportunities, and access to medical care and paid leave. Within the first mile of the supply chain, standards provide strategies and tools for the inclusion of producers in traceability and due diligence systems. We know that inclusive traceability systems can empower smallholders, improve incomes, and formalize intermediary roles. We heard a lot about what's happening here in Ghana on that yesterday. Standards and certification schemes can also drive socioeconomic benefits through improved access to training, inputs, credit, and cooperatives, leading to the adoption of improved practices and better market access. So sustainable, resilient supply chains are possible, but the challenges faced by supply chain actors must be addressed. And the world keeps throwing more challenges at us in the meantime, right? So global value chain actors must work together to find practical solutions. Governments will need to shape policy to drive impact. Businesses will need to invest and innovate. And sustainability schemes will need to continuously improve. Really learn what's working and where the challenges lie and how they need to evolve. And in order to maximize our positive impacts, we'll need to ensure our approaches are aligned and coherent. And importantly, producer perspectives must be put front and center for meaningful impact to happen. So for this reason, I'm especially excited to hear from Juliana Asiedu. Juliana is a Ghanaian cocoa producer, and in her keynote, she will share her perspective with us, and we have other producers joining us today on panels as well. So today's conference, as Fred mentioned, it's an opportunity to talk openly about what's needed and with the spirit of continuous improvement, and there's always room to improve. I hope you embrace the dialogues today. So I welcome each of you to take advantage of this really, I think, unique opportunity to contribute to this conversation of improvement. So in closing, I'd like to once again thank the Swiss government, especially the Swiss State Secretariat for Economic Affairs, SECO, for their support of ISEAL's work. We've had a long collaboration, and it's so important really to us and to thinking about sustainability more broadly. I'd like to thank the speakers and participants for taking the time to be here today, all of you who've come out in the rain and the traffic, and a special thanks to the Honorable Deputy Minister and Janine Waltz as individuals. And I hope today's discussions are rich, prove to be a learning experience for all of us, and spark some new partnerships and collaborations. So once again, on behalf of ISEAL and the team at ISEAL, thank you all for being here today.